In this video I'm going to be going into a bit of depth on how I etch PCBs for guitar pedals. You can use it obviously for any PCB that you want to etch. I use this stuff, the ammonium persulfate, which is low toxic. It's quite easy to work with, and you don't have to use photosensitive spray either. The first step you need to do is print out your PCB onto some magazine paper. So just rip a couple of sheets out of a magazine and put it through a laser printer. It has to be a laser printer, you can't use inkjet. And just put, this won't go through, I don't think most laser jets will, because it's quite thin magazine paper, it just crumples up. So I just put a piece of white just copy paper and just tape the top and the sides to make it thicker, and then it'll feed through properly that way. Cut out the PCB and leave some excess around the outside like that. You don't cut right to the end of the PCB, otherwise it won't stick properly. And then cut out a piece of your copper board with a hacksaw and make that a bit bigger as well. So you should have plenty of room for that to go on. I'll be cutting that down smaller later on, because for pedals you need to, space is a premium, so I usually try and make these as small as possible, but it just depends on what you're doing your PCB for, whether you need to cut it closely or not. So this has got a fair bit of corrosion and fingerprints and things on it, so I'm going to give that a clean next. That's the next step. So to clean it, it's pretty straightforward. You just put, just in my laundry sink here, just use a bit of creaming cleanser, like an abrasive cream, and a scourer, and you just give it a rub and get those contaminants off the top. It'll just help it to it'll help the print to stick properly. So I've given them a scrub. They should be pretty clean now. Come up all sort of shiny. So now they're ready to have the print transferred onto them, and we'll be using a clothesline for that, so that'll be the next step. So the first thing you need to do is just make sure that the PCB is dry. You don't want any water to come into the process, and the same goes for the iron. Make sure the steam's turned off on the iron, and there's no water in the iron, otherwise the paper kind of shrinks and it doesn't transfer properly. So leave the iron for about a minute to heat up, and then I just roughly put on there so it's in the right spot. This is cutting it pretty fine, there's not much room on each side, but hopefully I should be able to transfer it on okay. And then you just drop it on like that without too much movement. You don't want to move the iron at this stage. You actually just want to leave it on for about a minute so it can heat up, and it can heat the toner up and it will stick to the copper. And then after about a minute you press down on the iron hard and leave it, just make sure that it's attached properly, and then just rub it with the iron, but don't rub too hard because you can rip the paper. But also make sure you've got an iron that's got a thermostat in it, so it doesn't heat up, doesn't continually heat up, otherwise you're gonna burn your ironing board or your towel or whatever. I've just got a cheap towel under it, an old towel under it to protect the ironing board underneath, because it does get pretty hot. So the iron's been on for about 2 minutes now. So I'm pretty confident it's stuck down. So now I just with a bit of force, but try not to tear it, and just sort of make sure it's all, particularly around the edges, you want to make sure it's stuck. You often get the ground track around the outside doesn't stick, and that can be a bit of a problem. We can actually fix that later with a Sharpie, but yeah, just make sure that you press down on it and it's stuck down well. Once that's done, you just soak the PCB with the paper on the top in some soapy water for probably, well, the longer the better. Just be careful when you tear off the magazine paper that you don't tear off the tracks as you do it. yeah, if it's coming off, if it looks like it's going to start tearing off the tracks, you'll need to soak it for a bit longer. Also be careful when you transfer it from the ironing board into the soapy water that you don't burn yourself, because it's yeah, it heats up, it gets very hot. So I'm going to let that soak for a bit longer before I start tearing it off anymore. So the top parts come off of the magazine paper, and now there's still, you can see there's still magazine paper stuck to it, so you just rub it off with your finger like that, and go around the whole board and get all that stuff off. I also, once I've done that, I wait for it to dry, and you'll see the magazine paper still stuck in those holes, and I just use a little precision screwdriver and just scratch out the paper from in there so it etches in the holes properly. It helps when you get to the drilling stage to have the hole etched out properly. The drill bit will pivot in the hole better. And then I'll just cut off the edges with the hacksaw as well, just to make it a bit smaller. So these are the two boards I've finished. I've cut them to size, and the magazine, got all the magazine paper off, and just, yeah, gone around and made sure all the pinholes lead holes are clear of magazine paper, so they etch properly, like I was saying before. And I usually just go around with some sandpaper on the edges and just sand off the edges, because they're usually a bit rough. I actually made a mistake on the bigger one, which is probably a good opportunity to show what to do if you make the same thing. I actually smudged it on that top corner. I think you can see, yeah, see the near the pinhole, it's gone sort of, I don't know, I've smudged it, and also the top corner there is smudged as well. But you can just fix it up with just scratch it out with the precision screwdriver or whatever, and use a texter to fix it up. So if it's something minor like that, you can just fix it up with a Sharpie. You don't have to start again. So the next part of the process is to etch them with the ammonium persulfate. So we'll be doing that next. So for this next bit, I've got an ice cream container with the PCBs inside, and I'll probably, these aren't very big. I'd probably put about a tablespoon and a half of the ammonium persulfate in with the boards, and you'll also need a kettle full of boiling water. You need to fill up the basin with boiling water, because the ratio that you put the boiling water with the ammonium persulfate is 1 to 4. So if I put 1.5 tablespoons of that, I've got to put in 5 or 6 tablespoons of boiling water, and that will go cold quite fast. So you make a bath of boiling water, and you just, while it's etching, you just leave it in the boiling water, so it keeps the etching hot. So I'll just fill that up. Should be enough. And then put in the ammonium sulfate. So for this, these boards aren't very big. I'll probably just put that and a little bit for good luck. And then probably about 6, approximately again, 6 tablespoons. Find it doesn't really matter a hell of a lot, just as long as you sort of roughly get it right. Cool. And that's it. And then just make sure you use a plastic spoon, because obviously a metal spoon will, anything metal will start to etch. And I actually used to use some metal tongs, and had to throw them out because the ends actually corroded away. So yeah, just use the make sure you just use whatever you use plastic tongs or a plastic spoon, and that'll take about 5 minutes. If you find that it hasn't etched after 4 or 5 minutes, put a bit of extra in, and it should finish it off. You probably just haven't put enough etch in if it doesn't work. Just make sure you agitate the water like that as well. You'll get it'll etch a bit quicker and more evenly if you keep the water moving. I think it's actually about to start, yeah, it looks like it's about to start eating away at the copper. You can see it's starting to go a bit darker. So pretty much once it looks black, it's done. All the copper's gone. So they're done now, they're finished. At this point you want to stop the etching process. There's no need to go on any further than this. So as soon as you see all the copper's gone, just add some cold water and it'll neutralise the etchant, because this etch only actually activates when it's at boiling temperatures. So as soon as you go like that, it stops etching pretty much. And obviously you can empty out the basin as well. And then just dispose of the etchant down the toilet, they recommend, because some of the basin pipes have copper, so it's usually advised to put it down the toilet. And then you can just take the toner off with acetone or turpentine. Turpentine will get it off as well. And then just drill the board, and that's pretty much it. Hope you enjoy the video. Make sure you subscribe if you want to see more. I plan to do more do-it-yourself guitar pedal and electronics related videos, so make sure you subscribe. Thanks for watching.